Every major brokerage counts on you being blind. They've built multi-billion-dollar profit centers on your confusion, hoping you'll make simple mistakes so they can label you dummy money. I personally put my money into Fidelity, Vanguard, and Schwab to find out which one is right for you. I'm going to explain which broker actually fits long-term passive investors who care about dividend reinvestment, low fees, and tax awareness. Here's what you'll walk away with today: the truth about the default cash sweep and how to switch to a higher yield option so your idle cash stops losing money to inflation. Exactly how to set up dividend reinvestment, DRIP, the right way, and the one toggle that keeps dividends from sitting dead in your account. The fees that actually matter, like transfer fees and fund expenses, and how each broker stacks up. The tax tools that protect you at filing time, and which platforms make this easy. Why stick around to the end? I'll show you which broker is best for long-term passive investors who care about DRIP, low fees, and tax clarity. The one default setting that quietly costs $400 to $1,000 per year on autopilot, and how to fix it in under 2 minutes. A quick printable checklist you can use to audit your account in 5 minutes. If you want your platform to pay you fairly and support your plan, stay with me. Free trading made everyone relax. No commissions, therefore no costs, right? But here's the thing. Free trading doesn't equal free investing. The real costs hide in places you don't check. Idle cash earning very little, confused cash sweep settings, dividends not being reinvested, fund fees, and taxes you only feel months later. You can place a trade for $0 and still lose money because your cash sat in a low-interest sweep while prices and inflation went up. When I first started, I realized that people who park savings and don't understand fees, taxes, and inflation get treated like dummy money. That hit me. I wanted to be the client who knows what to check, what to turn on, and where the fine print hides. That shift matters because the system profits when you do nothing. Here's how brokers make money from you without sending an invoice. Cash sweeps. This is where your idle cash sits by default. If that default pays 0.45%, while a money market fund pays around 5%, the difference doesn't vanish. Someone keeps it, and it's not you. Order routing, payment for order flow. You don't pay a commission, but your order can be sold to market makers. That can create conflicts about whose interests come first. Inertia taxes. Clunky menus and confusing settings make you put off the fixes that actually help you, like choosing a better sweep, and chase the things that don't, like extra trades. Let's put numbers on the silent tax. On $10,000 of idle cash, about 5% in a money market pays roughly $500 a year. At 0.45%, you get about $45. That gap, about $455, repeats every year. Over time, that's a real chunk of money you never see. What should you actually track? Here's a simple beginner checklist. Cash sweep rate. Know your default rate and the better options. Fund costs. Use broad, low-cost index funds with tiny expense ratios. DRIP. Turn on automatic dividend reinvestment for every holding you plan to build. Fees. Learn transfer and margin fees. Taxes. Check that you can see clean tax forms and control your cost basis. Fix the settings once so your do nothing starts helping you instead of hurting you. Free trading got you in the door, but these switches decide whether money leaks out the back. Now that you see where the leak starts, let's talk cash sweeps. The quiet line in your account that decides whether dividends and new deposits earn real interest or gather dust. Idle cash happens. Dividends hit, deposits post, and transfers settle. The yield gap on that idle cash compounds, and it's the clearest window into a broker's priorities. The default matters more than your intent. You can plan to invest every dollar, but if your default sweep pays scraps, you're losing money until you act. What the research shows is blunt. Vanguard routes your default sweep to its federal money market fund, which has recently paid around the high 4s to low 5s, a fair market yield. Fidelity's default government money market fund sits in that same competitive range. Schwab, by contrast, defaults most accounts into a bank sweep that has sat around 0.45%. Same idle cash, radically different outcome. That's not a rounding error, it's a policy choice. Let's put hard numbers on it so it sticks. On $10,000 idle, a money market paying roughly 5% earns about $500 a year. The bank sweep at 0.45% earns about $45. The difference, about $455, isn't theoretical. That's money you missed out on.
How to protect yourself. At Fidelity, verify your core position. In a standard account, many use SPAXX, Government Money Market. If you see a lower yield option, ask Fidelity to switch you to an eligible government money market for your account type. At Vanguard, the default VMFXX, Federal Money Market, is already competitive. Your job is to keep idle cash minimal and deploy it quickly. At Schwab, you have to work around the bank sweep. The fix is to manually move cash into a higher yield money market like SWVXX. This is an extra step, but it's worth it. Build a small routine, weekly works, to move balances out of the bank sweep. Common mistakes to avoid. Assuming free trades means fair cash treatment. It doesn't. Letting dividends sit. Turn on DRIP for the positions you're building. Not rechecking your core position after account changes. If you remember nothing else from this round, know your default, choose the high-yield sweep you're eligible for, and turn on DRIP. Protect your cash first, and suddenly free starts looking a lot more fair. Once your cash is protected, the next leak is how you use the platform day to day. Your broker's tools shape your habits. Clean flow reduces errors. Bad nudges push you toward activity that doesn't pay. Fidelity first. If you want a strong all-around experience, this is the benchmark. The web platform is clean, fast, and predictable. Quotes, fundamentals, and screeners are all in one place. Most people miss how deep the research bench is. Third-party reports mean you're not stuck with one opinion. Fractional shares are available for thousands of stocks and ETFs, so dollar-cost averaging is easy. Workflows for recurring buys are straightforward, and setting up DRIP is a few clicks. Fidelity works because you get pro-level capability without the temptation bombarding you. Now, Schwab. The headline is thinkorswim. If you trade complex options, futures, or you live in technical analysis, thinkorswim is elite. But for the average investor, those features can be a distraction. And we can't ignore alignment. Schwab relies on payment for order flow, PFOF. You're not paying a commission, but your orders can be a revenue stream for them. That means the business model leans on monetizing your orders. Vanguard sits at the other end. The interface is intentionally minimal. It feels dated, and that's by design. They don't want to be your trading playground. If you're a true buy-and-hold index investor, that simplicity can be a feature. Fewer alerts, fewer distractions. Placing a trade works, setting up automatic investments works, and then you're basically done. The trade-off is friction on anything nuanced. If your plan is 3 funds, automate, leave it alone, this fits like a glove. If you need agility, you'll feel the edges. Let's address PFOF directly. Fidelity and Vanguard do not accept payment for order flow on stock and ETF trades. Their systems are designed for best execution price. Schwab does. Alignment matters. When two platforms can route orders without that revenue stream and one depends on it, you should at least know that before you choose. Bottom line, pick the system that keeps you in your lane. If you want power with discipline, Fidelity's web stack is the sweet spot. If you want a car with no turbo button, Vanguard keeps you safe from yourself. Access matters because it decides how precisely you can build positions and whether you can stick to your plan without weird workarounds. Let's start with fractionals, because this is where most portfolios either compound smoothly or get lumpy. The thing most people miss is how fractionals unlock real dollar-cost averaging. If a stock is expensive, buying $50 on schedule without worrying about share count keeps your plan on rails. Fidelity is the clear winner here. You can buy fractional shares across thousands of stocks and ETFs. Schwab's approach is narrower, efficient leads mainly on S&P 500 names. Vanguard is strictest, fractionals only on Vanguard ETFs. If you want to nibble individual dividend payers or non-Vanguard funds, you'll feel boxed in.
International access is the next fork in the road. If you want direct exposure on foreign exchanges, say a specific company in Japan, Fidelity and Schwab give you that lane. Vanguard, meanwhile, channels you into US-listed funds for international exposure. For most passive investors, a low-cost total international index fund is all you need. But if you want direct ownership, Vanguard's road is narrower. Now, crypto. Your broker stance can force your hand. Fidelity offers direct trading and custody for Bitcoin and Ethereum, plus access to the crypto ETFs. Schwab allows exposure via the SEC-approved Bitcoin ETFs. Vanguard takes a philosophical stand. No direct crypto products, and blocks purchases of crypto ETFs. If you want friction to protect you from speculation, that policy might help. If you want optionality, it's a hard limitation. So what does this mean for a dividend-focused builder? Fractionals matter a lot. Fidelity's broad fractional coverage lets you reinvest cash precisely and grow positions in high-priced names without waiting for full shares. Vanguard works if your dividend plan is built around Vanguard ETFs with DRIP, but it's not ideal for a hand-built basket of individual dividend stocks. Bottom line, Fidelity offers the broadest canvas, fractionals across thousands, direct international, and crypto options. Schwab gives you pro-grade breadth with a few guardrails. Vanguard keeps it simple, cheap, and narrow by design. Everything's smooth, until it isn't. Rollovers, cost basis questions, a 1099 showing up with surprises. This is where platform philosophy meets reality. When you need a human, you find out who actually values your time. Fidelity is the gold standard here. You get 24/7 phone and chat with knowledgeable reps who can solve real issues without bouncing you around. First call resolution is common. For a passive investor, this means faster rollovers, clearer DRIP confirmations, and fewer tax season headaches. Schwab brings a broad branch network plus 24/7 support. The infrastructure is serious, but post-merger, service has been stretched at times. If you like walking into a branch, Schwab gives you that option. Vanguard trades support for cost. You'll often wait longer on the phone, hours aren't round the clock, and there's no branch network. If nothing goes wrong, you won't mind. If something does, like a complex transfer, prepare for patience. Now the tax tools, because this is where dummy money gets exposed every February. Fidelity's tax center is clear. Downloadable 1099s, cost basis detail, and, crucially, control over tax lot selection, FIFO specific lot. That matters if you harvest losses in taxable accounts. Schwab's tax docs are comprehensive too, with solid lot controls. Vanguard covers the basics, 1099s and cost basis, but gives you less hand-holding and fewer knobs to turn. It works, but it's not optimized for frequent fine-tuning. Practical prep that saves you money and stress. Confirm DRIP status for every eligible position. Set your tax lot default method. For most passive investors, specific lot gives flexibility later. Know the exit fees.
Schwab charges an ACAT out fee. Vanguard's is higher. Fidelity charges none. If you're likely to move, that matters. Here's the kicker. Service isn't about warm fuzzies. It's about preventing forced errors. A slow response on a rollover can cost contribution windows. The best platform quietly removes those risks. Principles first. Protect cash yield, minimize fund fees, automate DRIP, stay tax aware, and keep your setup simple enough to run on autopilot. Here is the final breakdown. Broker best 4 key weakness, Vanguard. Diehard passive index investor, Boglehead. Dated platform, slow customer service, limited product access. Schwab. Sophisticated active trader, thinkorswim user. Abysmal default cash sweep, 0.45%, reliance on PFOF. Fidelity. The vast majority of investors. Clunky desktop trading platform, Active Trader Pro, is optional. The verdict? Fidelity wins because it has no major deal-breaking weaknesses. It delivers excellence across the board. It combines a top-tier web platform with industry-leading customer service you can actually rely on. It has a client-friendly, high-yield cash sweep that respects your money and a superior order execution model with no PFOF on equities. It minimizes the compromises you have to make. Vanguard is perfect if you only want to buy 3 index funds and never touch the account for 20 years. But its platform and service will frustrate anyone else. Schwab is elite for the top 1% of active traders, but for the average investor, the atrocious 0.45% cash sweep is a massive, self-inflicted wound that costs you hundreds every year. Your action checklist. Fix your settings now.
Protect your wealth by auditing your current platform. Do this today. Check your cash yield. Log in and see what your identical cash is earning. If it's below 4%, you are paying the silent tax. Find the option to switch your core position to a high-yield money market fund. Turn on DRIP. Verify that automatic dividend reinvestment is turned on for every stock and ETF you plan to hold long-term. Confirm exit fees. If you ever want to leave, know what your current broker will charge you to transfer your account. ACAT fee. Fidelity charges $0. The takeaway? Fix your settings, cash yield, DRIP, tax lots, and the platform stops taxing you in the background. If you want me to walk you step by step through turning on DRIP, selecting a high yield sweep, and setting tax lot defaults, watch the next video on your screen. Subscribe for no fluff breakdowns.